Hey everyone, welcome to Vlogmas 16. I'm Maya and today I am talking about how I'm shifting into 2021. So we're going to be talking about goal setting, resolutions, do I, don't I, and my process for finding ways to shift sustainably into my ideal self. So some backstory. I love goals. I think that they are very powerful for every area of life, not just the things that deal with work or finances. I think for me, goals really help me to make the change I want to see in my life and make sure I'm able to track it. Because I get so tied up in other things, like having a goal and saying, okay, I want to be able to do this is really helpful. And on top of that, having systems to shift into. So systems would be, if a goal is a one-off event, a system is like a set of daily or regular events that you do to improve in that area. So, what's an example I use? A system that I'm currently using, I've talked about systems a lot in my life, but a system I'm currently using is marking off, every time I have a drink of water, I mark it off on a tally thing. Oh my God, she's peeing. Okay. Good girl, Ginger. Anyway, if I have a drink of water, I mark it off, and that's a system for me. It's helpful for me to be able to see where I am with my water intake for the day, and that helps me know like what kind of progress I've made. Any like routine that you have is a system. A system is just a set of regular action that you take, and I find that it's easier to follow through with systems, and it's more rewarding to follow through with systems with goals rather than just having goals. And that's because I want to focus less on the event and I want to focus more so on becoming the person who regularly has those events, so that that goal is not a huge deal to me anymore. It's a good thing to track, but it's not going to end everything. I have things in place to help me to continue to go down that path of achievement. So that is why I am really into systems. So for 2021, I have big goals, really, really big goals. And if everything goes right, my life will be literally completely different in 2021, which means I have to be completely different in 2021. The way I move, the way I act, the way I engage with my responsibilities has to be completely different. My mindset has to shift a ton. So to do that, I'm really focusing these last couple of weeks of 2020 on identifying how I can make those shifts in a healthy way and starting on them as best I can. So in this video, I want to also share 3 things I'm working on shifting this week, and then I think I'll check in like next week, and then after that maybe like a monthly basis checking in on how my shifts are going. So basically, let's talk about how you do these shifts, how you go about it, or how I did rather. So for some backstory, I was completely overwhelmed with just the possibility after graduating from college. I was just kind of like I could do anything I wanted, and that was a lot because it was kind of like what life path do I want to chase after? Do I want to go after like the New York penthouse Maya who is working in fashion and writing in a magazine and doing whatever? Do I want to go after small town cottage Maya who is a school librarian and doing her thing? There were so many versions of life I had envisioned for myself because I have so many interests that it was hard. It was kind of like, okay, now we're at crunch time. What do we choose? So I really had to focus on identifying what my vision was, and I created a vision board, which is, seems so basic to some people, but I really think vision boards help because they really keep me grounded in what I really want to do. And so when I'm pursuing things on the life path that doesn't really align with my vision right now, I can check back in on that vision board and see like, okay, I'm swaying a little bit. I'm letting my hobbies kind of take over, and it's good to have hobbies, it's good to have other interests, but not everything is going to be on the same level as your passion. So I have to remember that all the time. So I check my vision board daily if I can, at least weekly. I was going through a spell where every day I would look at it and I would say out loud whatever affirmation went along with the image, and I did that for a good probably like 3 or 4 weeks, and I felt really great about it, and I definitely want to get back into that. But vision boards are key. I use Pinterest and just have a visual or a digital vision board. I was using Procreate for a while when I had my iPad. I recommend that one as well. You have a little bit more control about how you can arrange things, but you can also just do a physical poster board, magazine, vision board. It doesn't really matter. Just something that can serve as visual representation of your goals and the direction you would like to go in. And I would also urge you, if you can, to, if there are any like people on the vision board, try to make them mimic the people that like look like you or look like the other people in your life, just so that you can more easily connect to the things on that vision board. So after creating my vision board, and whenever I would check in on it like daily or weekly or whatever, I would ask myself to really sit down and visualize the type of person who lived that life on the vision board. That's ideal Maya, that's future Maya. And so as I am thinking about her and creating her whole full image and story in my head, I ask myself, what's the difference between her and me? Because it's not just time. Like, yes, if I go down this path, I will become her, but there are a lot of things that could happen that would lead me to not become her and not go down that path. So if I can identify her actions now, then that can almost guarantee that I become her, unless I realize maybe she's not as aligned, which is, it happens. It's fair. Your vision is going to shift and change things as time goes on. But as long as you can really identify who that person is, you have a better time of knowing whether or not they actually are aligned and making sure that you stay aligned. So I had to sit down and say, what does she do every day? What are her responsibilities? What does her schedule look like? Where does she work? What kind of money does she make? What does she eat? Who does she surround herself with? All of those things, all those questions, so I could see what the difference was between her and me. So after I kind of identified what she did and what differences existed between her and me, I figured out what I could do instantly to shift. There's a lot of stuff that exists in my current life that does not exist in my ideal life. Distractions, things that just don't matter, things that 10, even 5 years from now, I'll be like, well, why was I putting so much energy into that? And a lot of those things you can just cut off immediately. We just hold on to them for whatever reason. I'm not going to get into all that, but you can literally just let go. And there's a lot of stuff that you could bring in and implement that you've been putting off for whatever reason. Not everything is overnight. The shift is definitely not going to be overnight, but there's a lot that you could start on that could be overnight, and that would give you a little bit of a boost and kind of make you feel like, I'm making progress, because you'll realize just how much is clouding and taking up space that doesn't need to be there and that shouldn't be there. So because that shift is not going to be overnight, I chose 3 things for myself for this week to really focus on to help me to shift into ideal Maya. And it's always going to be a process. It's not going to be, January 1st, 2021, I've become ideal Maya. I mean, ideal Maya is going to keep going further and further. As you get closer, like whenever you see like a sign or something far in the distance, as you walk to it, you start to see everything behind that sign, and you can see that stuff in more detail, and then you see another post and all that stuff. So you're always going to be seeing things more clearly as you get closer and closer and closer. But for right now, like that first checkpoint, that's what I'm working towards getting. And I don't know whenever I'll get there. I don't know if there is. Well, there probably is a point, and I'm going to sit down tonight and really like define that a little bit more. At what point will I say like, I made it. I've become ideal Maya 1.0, and then I'll start on my pursuit to 2.0 and all of that. But the 3 things I'm going to focus on this week are pretty simple. The first thing, I want to really focus on water and physical exercise. My exercise game is really bad. And I've kind of gotten by forever because my body is fine. Like my body meets my satisfactions and I'm happy with it. Even I've gained weight during the quarantine and during the pandemic, and I'm fine with that. It happens. I've been at home for almost a full year now. So of course I've been gaining more weight. I'm grateful for the fact that I've had food to eat that helped me gain weight, and I'm grateful that I've had clothes to put on that were sweats and all that. Like, it's kind of like, I'm not mad at myself for that, but I do recognize that I could be putting a lot more love into my body by exercising and doing all sorts of things. My back hurts all the time. It's a lot better now that I got my mattress pad. Y'all know my best purchase video, but after a long day, like I feel like there's stuff I could be doing to show my body more love than what I do. So I want to work on that now, and I want to be a lot stronger. I used to be very strong, and I would say I'm still pretty strong now, but I do want to be like a lot stronger physically. And then water is always a struggle for me. I think really just being at home all the time makes drinking water hard for me, which is difficult to understand because I think in my head you would think that being at home would make it easier for you to drink water, but I don't know. Ever since being at home full time, my water intake has just like kind of been sucking lately. But that's the first thing I want to focus on this week, and I have my own systems that I'm doing to work on it. Whenever I do a check-in video, I think I'll break down the systems I did and, you know, whether or not they worked and what I would change and all that stuff. But I have my how attached to the goal, and I think that's really important as well. So the next thing I'm doing is kind of a big one that to be honest, I'm pretty nervous about. I want to be able to create social media content way far in advance so I can focus on some more like big level things for Gentler and for my own brand. So often, I would say if I broke down the time I spend with Gentler, the majority of it is spent on social media. Gentler is not a social media company, so the majority of my time should not be spent on social media. And so that prevents me from doing bigger things and really growing the brand the way that I want because I'm so stuck on the lower level things. And I am working on hiring someone, so that's going to be great, but that's not really in the plan until next year, until January or so. So I really want to kind of get my own system together to solidify a strategy for getting social media content out of the way quicker and make it more impactful and not just like, oh, I need something to post, like let me post this. And that way I can focus on, you know, just the huge stuff that's really gonna make the brand explode. I was in a phase where I was really like kind of exploding over the summer, and I feel like it's kind of stagnated a bit, and it's good because I needed a chance to catch my breath. So I'm not mad at it, but now I'm ready to start exploding again. So I gotta change the way I spend my time. And then the last thing, I want to pamper myself more. I want to do more like the mainstream transitory self-care. My nails have been unpainted for pretty much the entirety of the pandemic, and I don't really like, it's not a huge deal, but now I'm kind of like, oh, I wish I could have more time to take baths like I used to and paint my nails and, you know, put more energy into my hair instead of putting in a puff every day. So I'm going to try to work on that a little bit more this week as well. Some type of daily pampering and hobby things, just like small like self-care things that are just kind of, they're not going to make a huge difference in the outcome of my life individually, but I think over time as I make more plans towards, you know, a Maya date and making myself kind of the main priority, I think it'll really start to shift the way that I act and take action. So we'll see. Those are the 3 things I am planning on doing to really shift this week, and then next week I'll check in with how that went and share some of the systems with you and how things went and what else I'm going to implement. I won't be able to share every single thing because some goals I really want to share until after I achieve them, but you know, I'll share what I can, and I would love to know what shifts you all are planning on making, so comment that down below. I will talk to you all again tomorrow. Bye.